This isn't about who you are today, it's who are you becoming? And what do you envision for the rest of your life? What do you envision for your life a year from now or 5 years from now
Mhm.
in this big season of transition,
Mhm.
of moving, of preparing to move, or just changing the environment and changing how you
Mhm.
interact with it? And how do we bring more joy into
Mhm.
life? What we talk to clients about is the visual noise. The visual noise for anybody at any age, but especially for the aging brain,
Mhm.
that is so overwhelming when it's just stuff everywhere. It's like everything's out on the surfaces. I think people start to do that more and more
Mhm.
because it's like, well, if I put it away, I'm going to forget that it exists. It's a matter of, okay, how do we reduce the amount of stuff so it's actually what you need, which makes everything easier to find? Nobody wants to reject their things, right? You spent money on it or you acquired it somehow or it was a gift. Hard to just look at things and say, I don't want this. That's a negative way of doing it. Instead, take everything out of its usual home and pick out the treasures.
Hi, we're here today. I'm Laura Monday. I'm an elder care coordinator with the Miller Elder Law Firm. And I have with me today Angela Dragon from Simplify Home Organizing. And what I wanted to talk about today is one of our community partnerships that we have with you and how you can help clients that we work with. I'm excited that we have all these connections in the community, people we reach out to like you. So tell me a little bit about how you can provide services to our clients.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on today, Laura. And I've been
Yes.
wanting to connect with you a little bit more. I know we've seen each other at like the healthcare professionals luncheon and kind of
Uh-huh.
in passing. And
Yeah.
I was delighted to be on this podcast to be able to share more about what my team and I do and learn more
Mhm.
about how we can refer people back and forth. So my business is Simplify Home Organizing, as you know.
Mhm.
We specialize specifically in decluttering for busy professionals and downsizing for seniors. So, and I've noticed a trend, even without me intentionally doing it over the years, that now probably about 60%, maybe even more of our clients are technically elderly or seniors. And
Mhm.
it's usually the adult children of the seniors who are actually reaching out to me saying, hey, my mom fell and broke her hip, or we need to start decluttering my mom's house. She has 30 or 40 years worth of stuff. What do
Mhm.
I do? How can you help us? And so that's our main focus is decluttering and downsizing.
And I can attest to that because when I go into a senior's home to do an assessment, that's one of the things that I see. Some people, their home is spick and span, looks like it's ready for a sale. Other people, not so much. And so when I start to talk to them about, hey, we might need to, start to maybe get rid of the stuff you're not using anymore. And I get a little bit of anxiety and pushback. And I think that's where you come
Always, yeah.
in.
Yes, and I always say people don't have to be ready for the
Mhm.
transformation that my team and I provide. They
Mhm.
just need to be ready enough, right? Are we ever really ready for transformation, right? I would say no.
Right.
It's just sometimes life throws us curveballs and we have to make that pivot to a new career or, we
Mhm.
support people after divorce or whatever is happening. It's like
Mhm.
we're never really ready,
That's
but
true.
it's a matter of having that sensitive conversation with the person
Mhm.
and thinking about the future and talking about hard stuff. I mean, a
Mhm.
a lot of nobody likes to talk about their own mortality, so a lot
Mhm.
of our clients are resistant to thinking about 5 to 10 years in advance, but
Mhm.
also facing the reality of, okay, what are you actually going to do with this house full of stuff, and how
Mhm.
can we support you in finding a new life? And so
Mhm.
what I imagine you probably do in the conversations you're probably having are similar to what my team and I are having,
Mhm.
where instead of talking about what they're letting go of, we focus on what is the life that you want?
Mhm.
Where are you going? Right. So if you're
Right.
moving to like Okamek or the Village or the Atrium or any of the other retirement communities in town, we think about, okay, how can we just negotiate with them a little bit of like, okay, I know that you're having a hard time letting go of these things, but what is on the other side?
Mhm.
What is the life you want to create for yourself in
And
this
that's
final
true.
stage of
I
your life?
my focus there is how can I help you get the care you need?
Yeah.
Where are your needs best met? And so focusing on places and maybe bringing in care it's my focus. But they do have all this stuff, and that's some of the pushback I hear is, well, what am I going to do with all my stuff?
Mhm.
I want this and I want that, and I've had this collection since I was a child. And what I often hear is them tell me that their children don't want it.
Yep. We hear that that's in
Mhm.
every confronting clutter workshop. It's my signature workshop that I teach all over town. Every workshop I mention that. I say,
Mhm.
I know this is hard to hear, but your kids probably don't want any of your things.
Mm-hmm.
And people are often like, right? Because it's usually like crystal or china or like stuff that was really expensive, like 20-year wedding anniversary,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, something that was really valuable monetarily and sentimentally valuable back then.
Mm-hmm.
But that now if you go to a Haven Hospisatic or any other thrift store in town, it's like a dime a dozen.
There's
for
a lot of
those.
china sets.
A lot of china sets, a lot of
Mhm.
crystal, a lot of the same things that were really valuable
Mhm.
and now are everywhere.
Mhm.
And so that's a harsh reality, I think, for a lot of our clients to face, because and I see it as them not really wanting to let things go fully. It's like, oh, if I give it to my daughter or save it for my grandkid or give it to my niece, like maybe she wants this. It's like that's keeping that thread of attachment,
Mhm.
which makes it feel a little softer. But then usually what we'll do in session, which people are always like, when we first do this, but we'll say, like, if somebody's like, oh, I have this set of fine china, perfect example. I think I want to give it to my daughter. It's like, okay, and my team and I've trained them all to do this. It's like, okay, why don't we text her now? Let's take a photo and text her and say, hey, do you want this?
Mhm.
And the clients are always like, right now? You want me to do it? Right. And that's kind of my ethos too. It's anything that takes 5 minutes or less in a session. It's like, let's just do the thing and make it done and not make it on a to-do list for later. Our clients are overwhelmed. We don't want to give them extra stuff to do after my team and I are physically there helping them.
I think that's a great idea, because if we put all those things off for later, the task seems so much harder rather than taking it one step at a time. And if it takes 5 minutes, let's get it out of the way.
Right.
I think that's a great
And
tactic.
thank you. And 99% of the time, the person will respond and say, thanks so much for thinking of me, Mom, but no thanks. I have enough dishes. I don't want whatever. Every once in a while, somebody will want something. Like if it's some handmade thing or a keepsake that was like a great grandparent's, like a family heirloom. Sometimes people do want things, but most of the time it's the person not wanting to let go of the attachment to things. And it's like, well, if it's in somebody else's home, that's easier.
How do you deal with the emotions and the attachment when somebody doesn't want to let something go?
Oh, great question. We handle it very gently with lots of compassion and lots of care, because I always say that it's never just about the stuff, right? It's about letting go of old identities, letting go of old hobbies, letting go of incomplete projects. I think all of us have at least one incomplete project
Or more.
in our homes, maybe many.
Right.
And so my team and I all know that it's a delicate process, right? And so we'll check in with people. It's like we can tell I always kind of joke, like my team and I all have different words for this, but it's like a glazed over look. It's like dissociation or decision fatigue will set in, and we can see it, right? We can energetically sense it from a person, and we will just say, hey, do you need a minute? Or, do you want to go take a break and get some water? Do you need a break? Do you want to work on something else? Why don't we work over here instead? Right? It's like we can see when somebody's nervous system is going into that shutdown state, or sometimes they'll just disappear, which is a little bit funny. It's like
they get quiet, probably.
Or they get really quiet. It's like we can sense that it's stirring, some emotional stirrings are happening. And so we just handle that really gently and with lots of compassion and patience and care, because we can't force anybody to let go of things that they're not ready to let go of. And we don't want to do that, right? Like that's one of the questions I get sometimes on phone consultations. They'll say, are you going to make me get rid of things? It's like, we don't make anybody do anything they don't want to do, of course, but we will encourage you to let go of some things, because it's liberation, right? Like that's the goal, is liberating the person from whatever's holding them back from making that transition into that next phase of life.
So that kind of makes me think of my next question is, how do you start? Where do you start when somebody's ready to downsize?
Yeah, it depends on the client. The short answer is that we often recommend decluttering, and this is for any situation. For any client, we recommend decluttering and organizing their bedroom first.
Bedroom. Okay.
Yes, which is kind of opposite. Almost all of our clients are women, and almost always they're like, oh, let's work in the living room first, or the kitchen, or some common area that, like, if guests come over, they want that to look nice. And we can do that. We default to whatever the client really wants to do. If they're like, this is my priority, we do that. And if their whole house is cluttered and they're stressed out and they're like, please direct me, which is most of our clients, then we start in the bedroom.
Okay.
Because my philosophy on that is that the bedroom should be your sanctuary. It's like, even if the rest of the house is chaos and life is wild and you have an aging parent, or you're having some health challenges or whatever the situation, it's so important that we have that space where we can go in at the end of the day and shut the door.
and feel at ease.
and feel at ease and be able to rest. So to me, the bedroom should be the least cluttered room in your home.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you go for lovemaking, for rest. It's like it is so unsexy to see a bunch of unpaid bills on the top of the dresser. And I think that happens a lot. We see the dresser just covered with stuff and just, chaos. And so we do recommend decluttering a bedroom first. Plus, clothing is often our favorite category. We don't work necessarily by room. We work by category, which is another kind of mindset shift.
A category. Okay.
Right. So it's like instead of saying, okay, we're going to work in the bedroom first. We often will say that because it's just easier to explain. But usually the clothing as a full category, clothing is a good place to start because that often has a really visceral reaction. So it's like if we're decluttering clothing, we take all the clothing for the person, usually the mom or the wife of the home, all the clothing that everywhere in the house. And clothing usually is not in one place in the house. So it's like there'll be like some coats or some fancy dresses in the other room or some whatever.
Multiple
closets or like on a chair in the bedroom. It's like we get all of the clothing from everywhere it lives in the house that belongs to that person, put like items together, and then have the client usually pick out their things they want to keep first, which is also different. That's definitely another one of my top recommendations is don't try to just look in your closet and pick out things you want to reject. That's a really negative experience. Nobody wants to reject their things, right? You spent money on it or you acquired it somehow or it was a gift. It's like it's hard to just look at things and say, I don't want this. That's a negative way of doing it. Instead, take everything out of its usual home and pick out the treasures.
And that sounds... hadn't thought about that, but that sounds like a good idea because you're choosing to keep as opposed to getting rid of.
Yes.
You're focusing on keeping.
Exactly. Right.
To start.
And that hones your decision-making skills. So for example, like let's say we're decluttering clothing for an elderly client and we're picking up stuff and she's like, oh, I used to love that, but it doesn't fit me anymore. Or that has a broken zipper or a broken button or a snag or whatever, or that color doesn't look good on me, or that's not my style anymore. Right. Our taste change as we age. And so then she'll see something that like lights her up. That she's like, oh, that's my favorite dress. That one fits me perfectly. I just wore it last week. It's beautiful. It's like that somatic experience of what is a yes in your body is really an important part of the process. So picking out your keeps gives you the yes. And then that's kind of the barometer from there on of like, okay, this was definite yes, checks all the boxes. It fits beautifully. It's the right fabric, the right color. It's no broken zippers, whatever it is. It's like, okay, this is a full body yes. Now the other things that we're looking for, where do they measure up to that, right? Is it like a practical item where it's like a yes because it's black pants and they're no emotional charge, but they're practical? Or is it a yes because it's something that they love? And so that's kind of the barometer. So clothing to me is one of the best places to start because that often has, like I said, the emotional charge. Where it's a really clear yes or no. Although some people have that with other things. Like we've started in all kinds of other areas like craft supplies or kitchen things. And some people are really attached to those things and those have emotional charges to them, to them too. So it really depends, but bedroom should be a sanctuary and clothing should bring us, to me, joy and feel aligned with who we are and who we're becoming in the world.
Yeah. Because there's some changes people go through. They used to work in an office maybe and have a lot of professional clothes that they're not wearing anymore. I hope as I retire one day to move on to the more comfort clothes.
Yes. Yeah, we had a client just recently that had a ton of beautiful like designer professional clothing and she's retired. And she's like, every once in a while I'll go to a fun. She, volunteers on lots of boards like many of our clients do in those years, in that phase of her life. But it's like, she's like, I don't wear any of this anymore. She's like, but I want to make sure it goes somewhere where somebody will appreciate it. And so that's one of the things that I take great pride in. That's part of my company culture is that we will drive all over town, sometimes too much, to figure out where we can donate things where they have a best shot at somebody using them and loving them. And so we ended up donating a bunch of her stuff to Peaceful Paths, into the Displaced Homemakers program, DHP, which I love at Santa Fe College. I forget where else. I feel like there was a third place where we donated some of her suits and things, but it's, we do our best. It's like, if somebody has a specific collection, it's like, okay, how do we find where this stuff can be most loved in the world?
I think from talking to people that I see, it makes it easier to let it go if you know it's going to somebody who will appreciate it as much as you did.
Yes. Absolutely. And so that's why I'm a huge fan. Do you know about the Buy Nothing groups on Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of those? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in the Buy Nothing groups since right before COVID began. And
Mm-hmm.
it's been such a joy for me because it does help with the emotional attachment. And then you're connecting with your neighbors, right? To me, it's about building relationships and building community and being well resourced locally in our community. So you can go on Buy Nothing and find all kinds of stuff. You can ask her things, you can give things. And for anybody who doesn't know about the Buy Nothing groups, it's all buy sell, or it's not buy sell trade at all. It's all just giving things or requesting things. So I could tell you a dozen stories about just wild things that have happened where people are like, actually, I'll just tell you one quick story just for fun. So my former next door neighbors who now live at the atrium, two older women, lived in this big giant house in my neighborhood, and they know what I do for a living. They know that you know, reallocating resources in the world is one of my passions and reusing things. And so they messaged me and said, I have a hot tub that I'm trying to give away. Do you know anybody who wants a hot tub? And I'm like, well, this is weird. And I was like, I guess I'll keep an eye out. Do I want a hot tub? I live in an apartment. I can't have a hot tub. Right. But I was like, I want somebody to have a hot tub. And so literally a couple days after that, one of my lead organizers sends me a screenshot from the Buy Nothing group for our neighborhood and says, this is a really wild ask. And it was a guy in the Buy Nothing saying, hey, does anyone have a hot tub? What?
So you were able to connect them.
Yeah, so I ended up connecting them. But I was just like, this is universe, God, whatever magic that literally within a few days, I have this big, expensive resource and somebody's like, hey, can I have a hot tub? And good for him. Kudos to him for asking. So I just messaged him and tagged her in the comments and they connected and he picked up his hot tub. He hasn't invited me to a party yet, unfortunately, but I feel like I should at least get an invite for making that connection for him to get a free hot tub. But maybe he'll see this episode and invite me.
Well, that's awesome. So what are some of the mistakes that people make in trying to downsize, maybe even before they reach out to somebody professionally, that makes them have the hurdle, reach those challenges where they feel like they can't downsize?
Yeah, I would say, actually, okay, this is kind of in contrast to what we were just talking about, but I would say one of the kind of potential mistakes is trying to pick individual items to individual people, right? It's like, depending on the circumstance, like if somebody's still working full time or working part time, or they're with their grandkids a lot, or they're doing something where they don't really have free time, or it doesn't bring them joy to go on Buy Nothing and post on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or whatever, most of our clients are still really busy, even in their senior years. And so there's a lot of conversation of like, okay, how much effort do you want to put into redistributing these things, right? Because it's like if you have 30 different items and 30 different individual people that you potentially want to give them to, is that worth the time and energy?
Right.
Sometimes it is, but a lot of the times it's not.
Instead of focusing on a category or a room like you suggested in the beginning.
Exactly. So I would definitely say one mistake that I see is trying to do small individual items of like, oh, I have this one stash of, craft supplies. Maybe I can take that here. And then I have this that I can take here and this that I can take here. And that becomes so overwhelming so quickly that can often just stop the process entirely. So that's partly where my team and I come in, of course, as you know, because we do the big transformation of getting all like items together and figuring out how to take things away en masse when the clients are ready enough for that experience, rather than just individual items. Because most of the time by the time people call me, they're like, I've been trying this for 10 years. I've been trying this for 5 years. I'm ready to have some help now.
So some of the types of situations that I think that I see going into people's homes and working with the clients that we have here is some people need to downsize because their home has gotten so cluttered. The hallways have gotten narrow, and they can no longer get a walker or a wheelchair through it. And so they want to stay at home, but maybe just declutter. And then, or maybe organize better. And then we have the other situation where they need, they've decided they want to move. They want to go to one of this independent livings where they have the community, or they need to go to assisted living to get more care. So they do need to completely downsize and just bring certain things with them. So those are the kind of scenarios that I see with clients. And it sounds like you do both, right?
Absolutely, we do both, because and it's oftentimes a transition from one thing to the other, or somebody plans to age in place and then they end up not wanting to do that when they realize that they feel lonely or they need more connection, or vice versa, where they want to move and then they realize, wow, that's so expensive let me just, retrofit my shower and create more space in the hallways and figure out how to make the home environment safer for them, which that's a lot of what we do too, is and sometimes the person doesn't really know that they need that, but we'll see it. We'll be like, oh, this is a potential hazard in your home if you can't get through to the back door. I'm actually picturing one specific project that was about a month ago. It was kind of like a back floor to room on this client's home, and you literally could not get through it. I mean, it wasn't floor to ceiling like TV show hoarders, whatever, but it was packed enough that if she needed to get out of her house and couldn't get out of the front door, she couldn't get through the floor to room and exit that way.
And that's something we look at too when we go out, is we want to make sure people can get out their exits safely. We look at several things, fall hazards, trip hazards. Yes. As a care coordinator, that's something we assess and make recommendations on. So that's when we reach out to people like you when families need help, fixing those kinds of problems.
Right. Yeah. And this client was not even technically officially elderly or senior, but she was getting to that phase of life, and she has some health challenges and some physical limitations. And so there was no way she was going to physically be able to move all those things, and mentally, emotionally, I don't think she had the capacity to do all of that work on her own. It was a very overwhelming, very full room of stuff. And in one 6-hour day with the team of two of my best longtime organizers, they were able to create enough of a path. There was a couch under there, so they made it like a nice space where she can actually sit, inside, outside in the Florida room. And we created, most importantly to me, we created a space so that she could get out of the house that way. And we had to have conversations about that though, because she was like, well, that room is not as much of a priority. I would want to work in this room, in this room, in this room first. And I was like, please let us make this safer for you. And we had to have a long conversation about that.
Prioritizing.
Right. Suggesting. And that, I think that's also one of the gifts that me and my team provide, is that we come in and provide direction, because almost everybody that calls me, the number one word they say on the phone is, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know where to start. And so my team and I would come in and say, okay, this is what we recommend. And sometimes clients push back and they have other priorities, which is fine. But a lot of the time they're like, please just tell me what to do. I don't know how to direct this. And so my team, my lead organizer, will direct the projects.
And I think what you're talking about, having this team, sometimes we need that. When I look around things that I need to do, and if I think about doing something that's not easy, and if I think that I'm doing it by myself, I am going to be more likely to put it off and procrastinate. But if I had a friend or a professional like you come over and help me, and I feel like I have help, I think that's very comforting to people. It's motivating. You're not doing it alone.
Yes, absolutely. And that's it. That's a common ADHD hack in the ADHD world. My team and I, most of us have ADHD. Most of our clients have ADHD. Somehow we're magically able to help each other, which is funny. But in the ADHD world, they call it body doubling. That it's literally just, and I think that's a good percentage of the value, maybe half the value of what my team and I provide, is just physically being there and helping our clients stay on task so that they don't get distracted, they don't run away. We help them make the decisions, but just having that body double, having some other supportive person, especially having professionals there, makes all the difference. And we all need that. Actually, I'll tell you a funny story. This is a little bit vulnerable, but I'm just might as well share. So I ended up hiring my team, 2 of my team members, in for my own,
for your house,
just a couple months ago, because I was overwhelmed. My kitchen is not ideal. I live in an apartment, so I can't. It's a kitchen probably from like the 1960s, honestly. And the cabinets are kind of falling apart. It just was messy. And it's like, I kept saying to myself the same thing our clients probably say. I know how to do this. I can do this myself. But I just wasn't doing it. It just wasn't. I'm like, okay, let me be honest with myself. And that's another conversation we have with clients, is like your actual self, your real human, authentic self versus your aspirational self. It's like my aspirational self has Home and Garden magazine house. My house is not that. My house is a bunch of hand-me-downs and thrift store things. It's beautiful. I love my home. It's very colorful and wonderful. And my kitchen was kind of a mess. And so I hired 2 of my team members just for half a day. I was like, are you guys okay with working in my house? And they transformed my kitchen. They had brilliant ideas. And oftentimes we just need somebody else with a fresh perspective who's not attached to the stuff too.
Right.
And so it was 100% worth it. So even for me, I like to tell people that story because it's relatable, right? Like I'm still human, even though I've owned this business for 12 years, I still needed help in my own house, which I'm like a little embarrassed about, but well, it was worth it.
I think, because of the emotional attachment, the people have hobbies, collections, all those things. That kind of reminds me too of what I do when I'm out there and I'm talking to people about, think about downsizing. Maybe you don't want to move now,
Yeah.
but they're like, well, what am I going to do with it all?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I like going to estate sales and thrift sales, and I'm a collector too. I have a little space in an antique store in town, so I know the value of things, and so I've got connections in the community as far as that goes. So something that I do help families with is, here are your options. Like you say, donate. You can donate to people in need. We can have an estate sale. There's some living estate sales that people have. I've been to some of those. And so we've got many estate sale companies in the area. And also, if you don't want people coming in your home for a sale and you just want to downsize, I've been also online. They have online estate sales where people come in, the business comes in and they take pictures of the items, they list them, and then they come and pick up those items, individually or by appointment.
Yes. I've
And
heard
then
of that. I'm intrigued by
yeah.
that. Yeah.
And so you have that option too as an online estate sale. And then if you are going to move and leave things behind that you don't want to bring with you, we have buyout people who will just come and buy out everything, and they take the trash with them. That's part of the deal.
That's so
whatever you
nice.
don't want.
I would love for you to connect me to those people too, because we definitely have those situations. And
Yeah.
and most people do want to actively spend the time and energy and money to go through things to pick out the treasures. But it's like, once we're done with that, sometimes it does get to the point of like, okay, we're moving. What if we just leave all of that and let somebody else? And we do some of that. Like, we definitely have done projects where somebody moves or someone has passed away, and then we just figure out what to do with what's left. But I would love to have a separate company. That's not quite our area of expertise.
Yeah.
Usually we
So-
work with people to make the decisions.
And they bid on the value of how they think they're going to be able to resell it, but also knowing that they're going to have to haul off the stuff that, you kind of put in the back room that you really didn't feel like dealing with. And so it all depends. But it's good to know there's options. And so I think people don't know about all those options. And by just me telling them, hey, I have a lot of people that can help you. I've got people that can help you downsize. We also have a company that we work with, Lisa Odell, who a senior mover. So she can go in and help pack after you've downsized.
Perfect.
She can come in, she can help you pack. She also can coordinate the move. She can hang up the pictures in the room when you get there.
That's great. Those are a lot of things we don't
Yes.
technically do.
I'm
We
not
don't
a
do the packing,
decorator,
we don't-
you know?
yeah.
And so, I've worked with Liesl too on a couple people, and including my family, when I said, here's all the stuff. I don't know where to put it. I'm not a decorator. And she came in with her team and they had it all decorated in a couple hours.
Beautiful. And we don't do any of the design work too. So I would love to connect with her
Yeah.
too and learn more about that.
And
service.
so I wasn't even aware of professional movers. I didn't know that existed. And so I like that with the networking and the community resources, my position as a care coordinator, my job is to get to know the resources and be able to share them with our families to make their lives easier, to make them not overwhelmed anymore.
That's so important. It's for us to be well resourced in community so that we
Mhm.
can support people and see the needs and then direct them to the resources that they need. Because oftentimes, I often joke that my team and I know our clients better than their therapists do, because it's like we see the reality, right?
Right.
Like, you can say whatever you want in a therapy session and the therapist doesn't know any different. But
Yeah.
when we're in somebody's home,
Right.
sometimes we're the only people that actually know what's the reality of what's happening, especially when it comes to seniors and declining health or challenges with clutter or potentially even with hoarding. So it's like that's a huge responsibility for me and my team to carry. So I always want to make sure I'm really well resourced so that when my team and I see things and it's like, oh, this is a potential hazard, or this person's having health challenges and their family doesn't know yet, or their memory, cognitive decline, those things, we're often the first line of people, I think, that see those changes in someone. And so it's good for me to be well resourced.
Something I've seen firsthand in my family, and also I've heard from trainings and situations, is that for people who have dementia, the clutter can make them kind of not function as well.
Yes.
And what I've seen, though, is that because they can't remember where they put stuff, they want to keep everything out.
100%.
So it's not helping them, but they think it's helping.
Yes.
And,
yeah, we have a client right now who has been and she doesn't have any diagnosis at all. She's in her mid 80s, but she's been taking photos of things
Mhm.
as a way to attempt to remember where she put things. So she has a lot of stuff on surfaces, I think, for, like you said, for the same reason of just the memory and the overwhelming amount of stuff. She has a really big house with lots of stuff in it. And so oftentimes what we talk to clients about too is the visual noise. The visual noise for anybody at any age, but especially for the aging brain, that is so overwhelming, right? When it's just stuff everywhere, it's like everything's out on the surfaces. And that, like you said, I think people start to do that more and more because it's like, well, if I put it away, I'm going to forget that it exists.
Right.
So it's a matter of, okay, how do we reduce the amount of stuff so it's actually what you need, which makes everything easier to find too. So I agree. It's obviously fewer things.
I haven't heard
Easier
of
to
the term
manage.
visual noise, but that describes it exactly.
Right. It's like static, right?
Yes.
It's like we can, even if we don't see it,
It's stressful.
it's stressful in the back of our mind. And there was a study that came out just a couple of years ago on women and the physiology of what happens when we have a cluttered home. And for female bodies, estrogen-based bodies, it spikes our cortisol if we're in a cluttered environment in a way that it doesn't in male testosterone-based bodies.
That's interesting.
So it really impacts us. Physiologically, it's bad for our health to be in a cluttered environment. And conversely, it's good for our health, right? Like, and there was, I think this may have been a separate study that was talking about botanical gardens and how just like a walk in the woods is a very different physiological experience than a walk through beautifully manicured botanical gardens. And I think it's kind of the same thing. It's like our bodies respond to organization, a certain level of order, to beauty, and the cluttered environment is obviously the opposite of that. So it really is a mental, physical health challenge when somebody's environment is cluttered.
So do you have therapists you work with or refer to for people that are, you mentioned hoarding? I mean, we see the hoarding on the TV show. I'm sure that just like every other TV show, that's not really how everything happens.
Right.
But I know there's attachments to things.
Yeah.
that
I'm
you don't.
not a fan of that TV show because
Yeah.
it's, I mean, it's, to me, it's curating trauma on top of trauma, right? Like usually people that have a actual hoarding disorder have had some traumatic life experiences, childhood or otherwise. So the TV show, I think, is honestly just creating more trauma and it's just for TV. And then the people go back to their hoarding tendencies anyway after, most of the time, from what I've heard. So I am not a fan of that show.
Yeah.
Most people's homes are not at that level, but we occasionally, pretty infrequently, but occasionally do come across those clients. I actually don't have a specific local therapist that I refer people to. I know there is a Center for Hoarding Disorders at UF. I forget, it's a big long acronym of Center for something something and Hoarding Disorders. And I've contacted them before, but they're mostly just research.
Okay.
They don't do active work in the community. There is a center at UF Spring Hill that I know that they have. I think it's just quarterly, maybe they have a group therapy program for people with hoarding tendencies or hoarding disorder. And I have one former client who actually did that group therapy program and said it was wonderful.
Great.
And I'm a huge fan of group work. I'm a facilitator of group work in the world too. So I'm a huge fan of not just one-on-one therapy, even though that can be helpful too, but actually being with other people who have similar struggles. I think there's really magic in speaking about our challenges, especially things we have shame around. Like a lot of our clients have shame and embarrassment. Again, the people on the more extreme end of things, sometimes nobody's been in their house for years. Like they won't let their kids come over, their adult children, or their grandkids can't play because they're embarrassed by the state of their home. And so for people like that, it's there's a Brene Brown quote I love. She's Brene Brown's shame researcher. She said, shame dies when stories are told in safe spaces. So again, getting people together in that group therapy program, which again, I haven't actually connected with the therapist who runs it. I've been meaning to reach out to him directly. I think I actually emailed him once and didn't hear back, but no big deal. But getting people in that group room where they know, like, they're talking about what's happening with them and why they're holding on to things of whatever has happened to them in the past that caused them to want to be collectors in the world. And then other people are like, oh, me too. It's like there's so much healing that can happen in just being seen and witnessed and heard and know that we're not alone in our struggles. So I know this podcast, Laura, is called Thriving to the Finish Line. I would love to learn a little bit more from you about Miller Elder Law Firm and how you specifically, as the elder care coordinator, how you support people so that they can do that. So it's not just this heavy topic of elder care and elder law, but actually about thriving through the late stages of life. So tell me more about what you do.
So I come in as a care coordinator, a health advocate, or in the care advocate. I see my role is in improving the happiness, the quality of life. Our clients have lived, 70 years, 80 years, 90 years. And I see my role is to make sure that the rest of their life is as enjoyable or more enjoyable than what they've had already. I want to bring joy. I want them to do things that are important to them. And for some, it's to stay in their home. Some of it's to get away from all the responsibilities of the home and focus on it, just doing things they want to do, whether it's going and listening to music or playing bingo in a community. It's individual. And that's, I think, what's important is that we look at each person, each couple, if it's an individual or a couple. My role is to go in and find out what they want, what's important to them. What are they worried about? How can we help them with their worries? And so that's where you come in, is sometimes their worries are the stuff that's around them.
Right.
What am I going to do with my stuff? I'd like to move, but I don't know what to do with all this stuff.
Yeah. And part of it, I love that, by the way. I'm also a happiness coach, even though it's like my little side thing, but I've been a happiness coach for 8 or 9 years now. And so that's so aligned with all of my work that I do in the world, including the work I bring to my main business, because it is about figuring out what do you actually need at that stage of your life. I heard Dr. Eleanor Robin, who you might know, I interviewed her for my podcast, and she said it's the third of life, the third. And I think I liked that terminology of thinking of it as just like, this is a portion of my life. What is important to me in the third of my life and in that phase of life? And so much of what my team and I do also, like you were alluding to, is not just helping with the stuff and processing it, but thinking about, okay, who are you becoming? That's a phrase that I use really often with people and in workshops. This isn't about who you are today, it's who are you becoming? And what do you envision for the rest of your life? What do you envision for your life a year from now or 5 years from now in this big season of transition, of moving, of preparing to move, or just changing the environment and changing how you interact with it? And how do we bring more joy into life, right? It's like, it can feel so heavy, I think, to have health challenges. And I've been through my own health challenges, even in my mid 40s at my age. And I know that it's so important to still find connection with other people and find things that bring you joy, regardless of your physical ability or how you feel in your body. So I love that you incorporate that of like, okay, how can I support you as a whole person, not just thinking about elder law and estate planning and all those things that are super important too. But it's like, those things I think can feel so heavy.
And those are the things that the attorneys and the paralegals help with. So I like this other part.
You get to do
the
fun
more
part.
the touchy-feely, adding quality and value to life and trying to get them to focus on what makes them happy.
Yes.
And sometimes the way I word it is, okay, what did you do when I'm talking to people and getting to know them? What did you do for a living? And you retired, okay. And then they start talking about all these other responsibilities they have in life. And I'm like, well, when are you going to retire from some of those?
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. So many people. So I need you in all of our clients' homes. There's one client right now. I'm a little frustrated actually with this situation because she's still working. She's in her 80s and she's still working part-time, but still 5 days a week. So every day she gets up Monday through Friday and goes to work. And me and everybody else in her life are like, you don't have to do that anymore. Like financially, she doesn't need to do that. She's having some health challenges and some fatigue. And it's like, but it was, I think my opinion about this specific situation is that she doesn't really have identity outside of work. And so part of what I'm coaching her through, I include coaching depending on the package of hours. If people buy a lot of hours, I include a coaching session with me one-on-one, which I love to do because I love to support clients in that way while they're working on the physical stuff. I like to work with them one-on-one too. Right. So I already asked her, I said, well, you have a coaching session included in this initial package you bought. She has 2 now that she hasn't used yet. And I said, she said, well, what does coaching mean? Right. And I'm a functional health coach and a happiness coach in addition to owning my business, of course. And so I said, well, at the foundation, it's about your life overall. Like, are you getting enough sunshine? Are you getting enough movement? Do you have enough social connection? Are you doing things that bring you joy? Are you eating fresh, full food? Like to me, stuff that's like, are you sleeping enough? Right. It's like the very foundational things to what can help us to thrive at any stage in life. I asked her those questions and she got really quiet on the phone, Laura. It broke my heart because she said, well, Angela, so far my answer to all those questions are no.
She doesn't have any other activities.
None of those other things. She just goes to work and eats frozen dinners every night. And I'm like, you could be eating lobster at Okamic. What are we doing here? Like, and she's worked so hard her whole life. And so as I'm continuing to work with her, I can tell she's like, oh, okay, well, I did go sit outside today, or I did, stop at a tea house on the way home from work just to get like some connection or some interaction with other people besides just the people that I work with. So that's, to me, that's the at the heart of what my team and I do, is actually helping people to transform their lives so that they can have more joy. And really, to me, it's like enjoying the fruits of your labor. Like when I'm in my 80s, I don't want to be working.
And that's kind of what I try to do too. It's like, okay, you've worked, you've done, okay, you're retired. Now let's enjoy.
Yeah.
What can we do? What kind of goals can we set? Because we try to help people set goals.
Right.
And, what would you like to accomplish over the next year?
Right. Because we still need that.
Yes.
And I see oftentimes people that are recently retired that are kind of just floating around in life. Those are the people that are not doing well. So you have to still have some, to me, it's like the essence of contribution to society, and using your wisdom and using whatever your career was, whether it was as a full-time parent or any, something working outside the home. It's like by the time people get in their 70s and 80s, they're full of wisdom. And I feel like American culture kind of makes me crazy where we don't treasure that in a way that I think we really should.
Angela, what got you into this business?
The wild story. It was not intentional at all. Back in 2014, I call it my year of transformation. I've had a couple more since then. I'm kind of, I think, in another year of transformation, honestly, right now. But that was my initial big year of transformation, where I was working at the University of Florida full time, like a very regular person, 9-to-5 kind of job. And I liked my job enough, but it was not fulfilling. It was a windowless, cold office in an old building on campus. I was miserable Monday through Friday. I'm like, I live in Florida. And I'm stuck in a freezing cold windowless office in the middle of summer even. I can't go outside. So it was just not my life's purpose, not my passion. I was like, okay, I have to make some major life change here soon. And so I quit my job in January and decided to go study at the Florida School of Massage. So I decided to become a massage therapist. My mom was like, what are you doing? Right? So total career 180. And as part of that process, Florida School of Massage is 6 months long. And so throughout that, and I just quit my job. I had a little bit of money saved up, was eating lots of rice and beans and whatever cheap food I could get my hands on to live really inexpensively. I ended up going through a divorce a couple months into that process after a 7-year marriage. And just basically my whole life, I just flipped it upside down because I was like, none of this is working. I need to just start over basically. So it was a huge year of transformation. A lot of healing happened, of course, in that process. And I decluttered my home. So my then husband moved out and I had an apartment by myself. I was living alone for the first time in my entire life. And I was like, oh, I get to just make decisions about my own environment without considering anybody else. Okay, this is new. And so part of it was I got rid of all my old suits and all my old business clothes. It was like gray and black suits, like stuff that I thought like I was supposed to wear at UF, like dress code approved things. And none of it felt like me anymore. I became kind of like a rogue hippie, honestly. I think my mother was like, what is happening? Like I quit shaving my legs. I quit shaving my armpits. Like I was just free. I liberated myself from all the things that were holding me back in my life.
Things.
Yes. All the things, right? All the physical things, all of the old identities. So again, that's leading into how I got into this work. So I decluttered my house, got rid of like half my stuff, got rid of all my ex's stuff from my apartment. And so my apartment didn't look bare, but it was noticeably different. And so one of my friends was over to visit. She's like, oh my gosh, Angela, your apartment looks amazing. You seem lighter. I can feel the difference. Can you help me? And she had recently separated from a long, long relationship where they owned a big house together and she moved into a 1-bedroom apartment by herself. So kind of a similar situation. So I got to her apartment and I was just helping her as a friend. It was just like, hey, can you help me declutter? I was like, sure, I'll just come to your house. And she offered me some tea. It was not, I didn't think it was a business. I had no idea home organizing was an industry. I was just helping a friend. And so I helped her for a few hours. She was like, oh my gosh, this was amazing. Can we start trading massage? She was a massage therapist, a really wonderful, experienced massage therapist. I'm like, yes, I would love to trade that. And so eventually she was giving me massage in exchange for helping her. And then eventually she's like, can I just pay you? I was a broke hippie massage therapist at the time. So I was like, yes, you can pay me. I need money. I'm still recovering from this whole big career transition. And then she told a friend, and then I told another friend, oh, by the way, I do this thing on the side now of decluttering people's homes. And then I realized eventually, oh, this is a business.
And you have a skill.
And I have a skill for it.
Mhm.
I have since delegated all of that after many years of doing it and getting burned out of like physically doing the work. Now my team is in charge of that, and they're so much better than me at it at this point. Anyway, you don't want me in your house. You want my team. They're better at it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm great at leading the team and guiding them, but that's that's their gift now to share with people. But I never intended to get into the field. It just kind of evolved over time. And I discovered again that it's really about liberation. So because of my own year of transformation and liberating myself from all of that old stuff and just clearing it out, like physical stuff and energetically, I realized there's so much magic in that, because that's what allowed me the room to figure out who I was in the world and to create a new identity for myself in that transition. And so that's what we do. That's what we do for people.
Yeah, that's amazing how you kind of developed into it. It wasn't something you sought out.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
And actually, I'll tell you a funny story. I don't think my ex-husband would ever watch this, so I'm going to say something that he said to me. Hopefully he doesn't see it and care. But I remember it was maybe like a year or two after our divorce. We had a conversation somehow. I don't even remember how that happened. We had a conversation and I said, I'm doing professional home organizing now. And he went, what? Like this indignation about like you're organizing people's houses, like implying that I was not good, because I was not good at cleaning. I'm still not good at cleaning. And he was really particular about cleaning and thought that it was my responsibility to clean the house. But he was like, you're doing what? You organize people's homes? And I'm like, yes, I do, sir. Like, and that, it was so unexpected from him to see me doing the work that he thought I was not good at, apparently.
And something you said just reminded me of something that I share with clients too, is so many of them feel like their home's not clean enough. And they're like, oh my gosh, no, my home's not very clean. Ignore, when I first walk in.
They apologize.
Yes, they apologize. Oh, ignore the mess. And it's so dirty. Don't look at the dirt. It's so much easier to clean when you don't have so much stuff.
100%.
You don't have to dust it. You don't have to move it.
Yep.
And so that is something that I will share with people, is say, oh no, your home looks fine, but if you feel like you've got too much stuff, then we have resources that I can connect you to that can help you declutter and also clean. We have people that we can help clean.
Yeah,
your
I refer
home.
to cleaning companies all the time, usually after decluttering, because then the cleaning companies, it's like, oh, there are all these surfaces we can actually wipe down.
Right.
It's so much easier that way.
And so that is kind of a lead in to decluttering for clients, is I can say, oh, if you're really worried about that, we can bring in some help for you and, maybe keep the things you want, and, we'll find something for the ones you don't want, and then you won't have so much trouble keeping it clean.
Yes, because to me, the last thing I want to do in old age and the third of my life is be cleaning and organizing my house every day. Like, I don't want to have a bunch of maintenance, day-to-day maintenance. I want to be out enjoying my life. And so I encourage clients to do the same.
Yep. And that's when I use the word retire. You retired from work. Now you can retire from cleaning. You can retire from cooking if you want.
That. Retire from cleaning and retire from cooking. I'm totally going to borrow that, especially with the couple clients I mentioned. I think that's just what they need to hear.
Because they understand retiring from work. And that's a concept they don't have trouble understanding. But if you tell somebody, well, you don't need to clean anymore. You don't need to cook anymore, especially when seniors are starting to do things like forget to turn off the stove.
Yeah.
We like to offer other things, like having food delivery. Yes.
Food delivery. Yes.
Yes.
And resources for that too.
And so if I tell them that, you don't need to cook anymore because it's not safe, they don't like that, because they don't want to be told no. Or told what to do.
Yep.
But if you say you can retire from that, you can have somebody come in and maybe cook your meals for you.
Yes. Oh, I love that. That is super helpful for me to hear, Laura. That retiring from doing these things that you don't have to do yourself. That's such a helpful reframe, I think. And I'll share that with my team as well when they're talking to people about, okay, what can you delegate that you don't want to do, that you don't like to do anymore?
The retiring from task, I think, is helpful too. If somebody wants to move, but they're like, oh, I'm not sure. And so I often I'll use the retiring if we want to look at someplace like assisted living or the village where they can go to dinner. You can retire from cooking. If you were to move to a community that offered meals already prepared for you, it's kind of like a cruise ship. You go on a cruise ship, they clean your room. They do your laundry, they cook your meals. All you have to do is all the fun things in life.
Gosh, that sounds
You know,
amazing. And so
so
that I imagine that's probably really helpful for like the adult children
mhm,
of the aging parents
mhm,
for them to have that language too. But like,
mhm,
mom, don't you want to retire from cooking?
mhm,
Don't you want to retire from cleaning? Because that
mhm,
can be the again, that goes back to the thriving
mhm.
concept, right? It's like what
Right,
is going to actually help you thrive at
right.
that stage in life? Spending all your time cooking and cleaning your house is not it, right?
Mm.
I mean, and maybe some people have joy,
I'd
but
like to retire from all that right
I
now.
would like to retire from all that right now too. Yes. Like
And
sign me up.
and it is true, oftentimes we see that children will think of these things and propose them to family,
Mhm.
but the parents are often not used to taking direction from their children. They're
Yes.
used to
They don't
being
want
the
to hear it
parent.
from them. Yep.
Yeah, and so it's helpful for me to propose those things. I find that they listen to me more
Mhm.
than they do their
That's
own
true.
children.
That's true of me and my team too.
Yeah.
100%. 'Cause I'll have a client say, "Oh, I've been trying to get mom to move or trying to get her to do this for years, but then you
Mhm.
guys come in and she just does it."
Mhm.
It's like it's not it's a different relation. Actually, that's one point I do want to quickly make. Um, anytime somebody says, "Oh, I want to just try to help my mom declutter." I'm
Mhm.
like, "How much do you value that relationship?"
Mhm.
Right? It's like when we have a family member doing it, it is so I rarely see it work out well
Mhm.
that the adult children, especially mother-daughter complicated
Mhm.
dynamics, I rarely see that go well.
I hired
It's
my
so charged.
daughter to help my mother declutter.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So maybe the grandmother was the grandmother granddaughter thing
That
a
worked
little
better.
better? That's probably a
Yes.
little bit better.
Yes. I think part of the thing was is because of the age difference, my mom wanted to feel like she was more hip.
Oh.
And so having a 20-something-year-old advise her advise her
Someone
on
to keep.
clothes,
Yes.
she was more open to that than me telling her.
Interesting. That makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes sense. So yeah, so maybe that's one exception then, but
So there's
otherwise,
yeah, so
generally,
there may be another family member out there that they would take advice from better than the daughter or the son.
right. It depends on the relationship dynamic. If it's
Mhm.
close family member though, I see that go
Mhm.
sideways all the time. It's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I tried to help my mom." Usually it's mom. "I tried to help my mom and we got into an argument and I
Mhm.
stormed out and
Mhm.
everything's a mess still." So it's
Mhm.
like, "Okay, let's just hire obviously I'm biased too because I'm like, "Hire professionals. You don't have to
Mhm.
have that stress on that strain on your relationship."
And a lot of times the children are working still
Yeah.
and they don't have
They don't
time to
have
do it
time.
because they're doing some of the tasks that really have to be done, the necessary task. And, having somebody come in and spend several hours a day helping their mom declutter, they just don't seem to have time for because they're more focused on making sure mom's doctor's appointments are set and getting her to doctor's appointments or so they have to prioritize their tasks too
Yeah, absolutely.
as children.
So Laura, I wanted to come back. You asked me about how I got into this field.
Mhm.
I would love to know more about your background and your
Mhm.
career evolution and
Mhm.
how you landed on this role and what you
Mhm.
love about it.
Well, I actually started working at UF as well when I was in my early years and moved in to case management, working with people with developmental disabilities. That was children all the way to seniors.
Mm.
And a lot of times I found that people struggled because I was just focusing on one part of their life. And what I liked is I had worked with Shannon in the past in her firm, getting legal help for some of the clients that were denied services or guardians appointed for people. And I just, I found out she was doing life care planning and had care coordinator positions. And I said that would be fantastic because what I liked about life care planning is that it's life and care planning.
Mhm.
It's legal, it's financial, and it has the care aspect to it. So I felt like I could really fit into that. And I really love that we're helping the whole person. We're helping the whole person. I'm not just helping one aspect of their life.
Right.
And so I'm part of a team that is looking at everything and with that goal of thriving, we want them to thrive. I want it's in my nature that I want people to be happy,
Mm-hmm.
and so if I can see that all of their worries are taken care of, they don't worry about spending their last dime in a nursing home,
Yes.
because they don't want to move there because they don't want to spend all their money. They want to leave some for their children, some of them. And so we are able to take care of all those worries.
Yeah. That I can feel out the relaxation in my body as you're talking about that, of that I can see you lighting up about it, and I can feel it landing in my body of like, yes, I want all of us to have that peace
Right.
of mind.
Yeah.
You're providing them with peace of mind in that
Exactly.
stage of their life and for their whole family,
Mhm.
right? So for them to have you, a big-hearted, caring person who has these skills and has access to all those resources, what a gift you get
Yeah.
to provide to
And
people.
and a lot of seniors, their children moved on. They got jobs and live in other states. So I see my role as almost like a substitute child.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I can go check on mom if they're worried about her, or dad, or you know, maybe we have a few clients we've worked with that didn't have children.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of become their substitute family and check on them, and we have their best interest, you know, in making sure their care needs are met. And you know, I just feel like that my job serves a role in their life
Yeah.
in many ways.
Right. What a gift. To me, I see that as really in my work too. I see it as very sacred, right? It's a very sacred time to be supporting people, especially in the later stages of life, like as their health is declining and their, 70s, 80s, etc. We've had even clients in their early 90s that we're working with. And like that, this feels so sacred because this is the last few years someone's on the planet, and I want them to have joy and connection and to ease their suffering in any way that we can.
Yeah.
So we share that for
Make it the best life till the end.
Yep, exactly.
Angela, thank you so much for coming here today to talk about how we work together to help seniors thrive to the finish line. It's been really good to learn more about what you do and, you know, what got you to this position, and how we can work together to keep seniors happy as possible to the end and be of support to the children too that are also trying to help their parents. So,
Thank you so much for having me, Laura. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
If this episode made you think of someone who might benefit from hearing it, we encourage you to share it. These conversations matter. And to stay connected with future episodes of Thriving to the Finish Line, be sure to subscribe. Thank you for spending time with us.